Imagine two towns in America. In the first town, the grocery store closed last year. The high school is down to half its students. The main street has more empty windows than open signs. And the people who are still there? They're mostly staying because they don't know where else to go. In the second town, construction crews are working 7 days a week. New families are moving in every single weekend. The schools just announced they need to build 2 more campuses. Restaurants, hospitals, shopping centers, all going up at the same time. Both of these towns exist in America, right now, in 2025. And here is the number that explains everything: 80%. That is the percentage of American counties that look more like Town Nor 1 than Town Nor 2. Out of more than 3,000 counties across this entire country, roughly 2,400 of them are losing people, or barely holding on. But buried inside that number is a story that nobody is talking about. Because while 80% of America quietly empties out, 3 counties did something extraordinary. They added tens of thousands of new residents in a single year. They attracted families, jobs, and investment from all over the country. They didn't just grow, they boomed. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where they are, exactly why they're winning, and what it means for the future of your money, your community, and your family. Let's get into it. Why 80% of American counties are shrinking. The census data that changed everything. Every year, the U.S. Census Bureau releases updated population estimates for every county in America. These aren't polls or surveys. This is hard data, tracking births, deaths, people moving in, and people moving out. And what the 2025 data revealed is staggering. Of the country's more than 3,000 counties, about 80% saw declining population or slower growth between July 2024 and July 2025. This isn't just a small blip or a short-term trend. Counties that were already shrinking also saw that trend accelerate. The problem isn't getting better, it's getting worse. Now let's break down exactly why this is happening, because there are several forces all hitting at the same time. Reason number 1, the immigration slowdown. For decades, one of the biggest engines of American population growth has been international immigration. New arrivals come to the country, they settle in communities, they have children, they start businesses, and counties grow. But that engine has dramatically slowed down. One major reason for the drop, according to the agency, was a significant decline in international immigration to the U.S. in the first year of President Donald Trump's second term. The impact of this shift has been enormous, and it hit some areas harder than others. The biggest swings were along the U.S.-Mexico border. Laredo, Texas, Yuma, Arizona, and El Centro, California all saw big drops in population growth. These border communities had been growing steadily for years, largely fueled by cross-border migration and economic activity. Now they're facing a completely new reality. But it's not just the border towns. The immigration slowdown hit big cities just as hard. 9 out of 10 U.S. counties experienced lower international migration levels between July 1, 2024 and June 30, 2025 compared to the year prior. The 1 in 10 counties that did not see a drop in international migration did not see an increase either. Think about that. Every single county in America was affected by this shift. Reason number 2, the urban exodus. Big cities are bleeding out. Here's something that would have seemed impossible just 15 years ago. America's biggest, most famous cities, the ones that used to be magnets for ambitious young people, are now losing residents at an alarming rate. The change was noticeable in large metro areas as well, even if they are far from the southern border. New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. These cities built their identities on growth, on being the places where people come to chase their dreams. But the numbers tell a very different story today. Collectively, the 50 counties with 1 million or more people in 2025 had a net domestic migration loss of 637,634. That's 637,000 people in 1 year alone who looked at the biggest counties in America and said, "I'm leaving." And where are they going? They're heading to smaller, more affordable places. Large counties with populations between 50,000 and 999,999 had a combined net domestic migration gain of 533,766, and medium-sized counties had a net domestic migration gain of 95,095. The story here is clear. People are leaving the megacities and heading to medium-sized communities with lower costs of living, more space, and a better quality of life. Reason number 3, more deaths than births. This one is harder to talk about, but it's critically important for Americans over 40 to understand. America is aging, and in many parts of the country, particularly rural areas, more people are dying every year than are being born. This is called natural decrease, and it's becoming the norm across the country. The number of counties in 2025 with natural decrease, meaning more deaths than births, was 2,055, or 65% of all counties. Nearly 2/3 of American counties now have more funerals than baby showers. That is a deeply significant demographic reality that will shape this country for generations. Reason number 4, the hurricane effect, Florida's tragedy. There's one more factor driving population loss that doesn't get talked about enough, and that's natural disasters. Counties along Florida's Gulf Coast lost residents due to a series of hurricanes. 2 destructive hurricanes, Helene and Milton, tore through Gulf Coast counties in Florida in fall 2024, causing tens of billions of dollars in damage. Pinellas County, home to St. Petersburg, lost almost 12,000 residents, the second most in the country, trailing only Los Angeles County, which has been losing population all decade. These aren't just statistics. These are families who lost their homes, their savings, their sense of security, and made the painful decision to start over somewhere else. The broader picture, a nation reshaping itself. What all of this adds up to is a fundamental reshaping of where Americans live. Growth declined dramatically in metro areas, on average from 1.1% between 2023 and 2024 to 0.6% between 2024 and 2025. People are moving away from expensive, crowded, high-tax coastal cities. They're moving away from flood zones and hurricane corridors. They're moving away from border communities that have been destabilized, and the result is that most of America is slowly, quietly shrinking, but not everywhere. Before we get into the 3 counties that are absolutely booming right now, if you're finding this information valuable, please take 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button below this video. We cover the economic and demographic shifts that are quietly reshaping America, the stories that are changing your future, whether you know it or not. Hit subscribe so you never miss one. Now, let's talk about the counties that are winning, the 3 counties that boomed. The Sun Belt is on fire. While most of America is struggling, there is one region that is thriving like nowhere else in the country. Among counties with populations of 20,000 or more, 9 of the top 10 fastest-growing counties were in the South, as were 45 out of the top 50. The Sun Belt, that stretch of states across the South and Southwest, has become the most powerful population magnet in the entire country, and 3 counties in particular are leading the charge. Boom County number 1, Collin County, Texas, the Dallas powerhouse. If you want to understand where America's growth is happening, start here. Collin County sits just north of Dallas, Texas. A few decades ago, it was a quiet suburban area with a handful of small towns. Today, it is one of the most explosive population centers in the entire United States. From July 1st, 2024 to July 1st, 2025, Collin County gained 42,966 residents, lifting its population by 3.4% to nearly 1.3 million. Nearly 43,000 new residents in a single year. To put that in perspective, that's like the entire population of a mid-sized American city picking up and moving to Collin County in just 12 months. And this isn't a one-time fluke. Collin County has been growing at an extraordinary rate for years. The county north of Dallas, home to Princeton, the country's fastest-growing city, ranks second among U.S. counties for adding the most residents from 2024 to 2025. So what's driving this growth? Why are nearly 43,000 people a year choosing Collin County? The answer comes down to a few key factors. First, the jobs. The Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex has become a major hub for technology, finance, and healthcare companies, and Collin County sits right at the heart of that economic engine. Major corporate campuses and tech corridors have turned this area into a legitimate alternative to Silicon Valley or New York, but with Texas-sized tax advantages and much lower costs. Second, housing. While home prices in California and New York have become completely unattainable for most middle-class families, Collin County still offers relatively affordable options for people looking for space, good schools, and a high quality of life. In Collin County, 83% of the increase was due to people moving into the county from elsewhere, while just 17% was from natural change. People aren't just being born here, they are choosing to come here. That's a powerful statement about the county's appeal. And the future looks even bigger. Based on a middle-of-the-road migration scenario, the Texas Demographic Center predicts Collin County's population will exceed 1.4 million in 2030, surpass 1.7 million in 2040 and reach 2.2 million in 2050. Collin County isn't just growing, it is on a trajectory to become one of the most significant population centers in the entire country. Boom County number 2, Montgomery County, Texas, Houston's northern crown. If Collin County is the star of Dallas, then Montgomery County is the crown jewel north of Houston. Montgomery County gained 30,011 residents from 2024 to 2025, reaching a total of 781,194, a one-year growth rate of 4%. A 4% growth rate in a single year is extraordinary. To understand just how exceptional that is, the national average growth rate during this same period was only a fraction of that, weighed down by all the counties that were shrinking. Montgomery County, which includes cities like The Woodlands, Conroe, and Magnolia, has become one of the most desirable places to live in the entire southern United States. Domestic migration drove the bulk of population growth in Montgomery County, meaning these aren't just international arrivals. These are Americans from all over the country who looked at their options and specifically chose to come here. The appeal is straightforward. Montgomery County offers proximity to one of America's great economic engines, Houston, while providing a lifestyle that feels much more spacious and manageable than the urban core. The Woodlands alone has been consistently ranked among the best places to live in America, with world-class amenities, excellent schools, and a planned community environment that feels both vibrant and safe. Harris County, home to Houston, added the most residents of any county nationwide, more than 48,000 new residents, and Montgomery County, right next door, added another 30,000 on top of that. The entire Houston metro area is essentially functioning as a population magnet of historic proportions. For anyone wondering where the American dream is still alive and thriving, look no further than the counties surrounding Houston, Texas. Boom County number 3, Pinal County, Arizona, the Phoenix phenomenon. Our third booming county takes us west, to the desert of Arizona, where something remarkable is happening just outside of Phoenix. Pinal County is located between Phoenix and Tucson, and for years it was known primarily for agriculture, small towns, and wide-open desert spaces. But over the past several years, it has quietly transformed into one of the fastest-growing communities in the entire country. Pinal County's population jumped nearly 5% from 2024 to 2025. More than 100,000 people have moved to Pinal since 2020, bringing its population to nearly 540,000, 100,000 new residents in 5 years, a 5% growth rate in a single year. These are numbers that most counties in America can only dream of. Pinal County, Arizona, outside Phoenix, was among the leading counties for domestic migration, driven largely by people moving out of the expensive, congested Phoenix core and looking for more affordable alternatives in the surrounding region. What makes Pinal County's story so compelling is that it represents a broader national pattern. As Phoenix itself has become increasingly expensive and crowded, people have been pushed outward into communities like Queen Creek, Casa Grande, and Maricopa City, which sit within Pinal County's borders. These communities offer new construction homes at prices that are simply not available inside the Phoenix metro. Young families who have been priced out of the core city are finding that they can buy a brand new home, enroll their kids in good schools, and still commute to Phoenix for work. And the infrastructure is following the people. New roads, new schools, new retail developments, new medical facilities. Pinal County is investing heavily in its future because the data says its future is very, very bright. Domestic migration drove the bulk of population growth in Pinal County, Arizona, which tells us this growth is organic, choice-driven, and sustainable. What do these three counties have in common? Now here's a question worth sitting with. What do Collin County, Texas, Montgomery County, Texas, and Pinal County, Arizona all share? What is the common thread that explains why these three counties are thriving while 80% of America is shrinking? When you look at the data carefully, several clear patterns emerge. First, affordability relative to major metro areas. All three counties offer significantly more value for your housing dollar compared to the major city cores nearby. When families and individuals are making decisions about where to live, cost still matters enormously, especially for Americans over 40 who are thinking about retirement, home equity, and long-term financial stability. Second, job access without urban chaos. None of these counties are isolated. They all sit within commuting distance of major economic engines, Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, and Phoenix respectively. Residents get the economic benefits of a major metro without paying the urban premium in taxes, cost of living, or quality of life trade-offs. Third, space and livability. At 40 and beyond, many Americans start to rethink what they actually want from where they live. The dense, expensive, high-stress urban environment that might have seemed exciting at 25 starts to look a lot less appealing when you're raising a family, thinking about retirement, or just craving a different pace of life. These counties offer that. Fourth, population momentum. Growth attracts growth. When a county is adding 30,000 to 43,000 people a year, businesses follow. Restaurants open, hospitals expand, schools improve. The quality of life compounds over time in a way that declining communities simply cannot replicate. What this means for you. If you're watching this video and you're thinking about your own future, where you live, where you invest, where you want to spend the next chapter of your life, this data matters. The Great Reshuffling of America is not a temporary blip. It is a structural demographic shift that is going to define this country for the next 20 to 30 years. The counties that are growing today are building the infrastructure, the institutions, and the economic foundations for a prosperous future. The counties that are shrinking today are facing compounding challenges that become harder and harder to reverse. For Americans over 40, this is particularly important to think about carefully. Your home is likely your single largest asset. The county you live in, its growth trajectory, its tax base, its economic vitality, directly affects the value of that asset over time. The data from the Census Bureau isn't just an interesting news story, it's a roadmap. And the roadmap is pointing very clearly toward the Sun Belt, and specifically toward communities like Collin County, Montgomery County, and Pinal County. That is the full picture, the 80% of America that is quietly shrinking, the forces driving that decline, and the 3 counties that are not just surviving, but absolutely booming in 2025. If this video gave you something to think about, something that changes how you see America's future, then please take a moment to subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that subscribe button. We bring you exactly this kind of deep dive, data-driven content on the economic and demographic trends that are reshaping your world and your financial future. And if you have thoughts on this, maybe you live in one of these booming counties, or maybe you live somewhere that's been struggling, drop a comment below. I read every single one, and I genuinely want to hear your perspective. If you found value in this video, please share it with someone you know, a family member, a friend, a colleague, who should be paying attention to where America is heading. This is the kind of information that doesn't get shared enough. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.